The founder is a pastor. She had many years' experience in working with mission projects, and she'd been to India approximately 25 times. And during that time, she became connected with a vulnerable group of children. She formed a strong relationship with this group of children. She heard their stories. And she also had grandchildren of the same age. She developed relationship with a person, a national person, that became the director of what was a small residential care program to meet the needs of the children that she'd formed a strong relationship with. I became involved about 18 months later. I was working in child protection at the time, and I did a trip to India with another organisation. And while I was over there, I felt called to do something to meet the need of what I could see. I contacted my pastor, who I had strong connection with and strong relationship with, and who I really respected. And I said, is there anything that I can do? I didn't really engage my professional hat at that point. I wasn't really looking at what I knew from my work within child protection. I wasn't applying that to this group of children. When the organisation was first presented with the idea of transitioning to an alternative care model, my pastor was immediately concerned with the group of children that she had strong relationship with. She wasn't as interested or engaged with the information that was provided, with the research, with the data. It was more about how would this model of care meet the needs of the children that she had relationship with. Whereas for me, when I read the research and read the data, it immediately engaged my pre-existing learning and knowledge in this area. It engaged my professional hat, and so I responded quite quickly. But then more questions started being formed. And so for my pastor, it was the emotional engagement. It was whether these children's needs were going to be met. For me, it was engaging rationally with the information that was being provided, but then looking at the feasibility of this framework to the work that we were doing within the Indian culture. Considering my pastor's emotional investment in the children that we were working with in India, she needed to know that they were being prioritised in this. Part of the investment for her was also getting to trust the person that was presenting the idea of transition. And this was formed through many face-to-face meetings. She got to know the person. They developed relationship. My pastor is a highly relational person, and so that relational perspective was very important. She also needed to know that the national person, the director of the project, that his feelings were being considered. Again, that relational, emotional response was really important for her engagement. For me, once I'd seen the research and the data and my professional hat was on, for me, I needed to know that I could ask questions around the framework and have them answered rationally. I also needed to know that I could trust that the person presenting the information for transition had experience and qualifications, that they could answer the questions that I had with their expertise, having good knowledge and a good foundation of experience within the area. So two of us coming from different perspectives, my pastor from a highly relational, emotional perspective, really responded well to someone taking the time to form relationship with her and answer her questions from that relational, emotional perspective. Whereas for me, it was important that someone was able to engage with me rationally, to be able to answer my my questions from a professional perspective and really helped me connect the dots between my understanding of child protection within Australia and how that would then transfer into a different culture. Employing the dual approach, using an emotional appeal for my pastor and a rational appeal for myself, ensured that both of us got on board to transition our model of care for this group of children. If my pastor hadn't been able to spend time building the relationship with the person that was providing the information to transition, I suspect we probably wouldn't have got on board to start that pilot project. For myself, I think if I hadn't been given that rational information, being able to integrate my professional knowledge, I think at some point I would have hit a wall and not been able to engage. And so both of us needed that different approach, a more relational, emotional perspective for my pastor and the more rational approach for myself. We both got on board and we can see directly the benefit for the children that we're working with because of transitioning this model of care.